The stars had never seemed so cold to Taman Park as he stood on the observation deck of humanity's first diplomatic vessel. The ship called Harmony was small compared to the massive alien structures around Nexus Prime Station, but it carried the hopes of 8 billion humans. Timon adjusted his formal uniform and watched the alien ships moving in the distance like metal whales in an ocean of space. "Ambassador, they're ready for you," said his aide, a young woman named Ji-eun, who had trained for this moment her entire life. Her voice was steady, but Tae-min could see the nervousness in her eyes. This was humanity's first real meeting with the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. The conference room on Nexus Prime was enormous. Beings from dozens of different worlds sat around a circular table that could have held a small aircraft. At the head sat Chancellor Vextar of the Hegemony, a tall creature with silver skin and 4 arms. His species had controlled much of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. When Tae-min entered, every alien eye turned to study him like he was some interesting but harmless animal. "So," Vexatar spoke through a translation device, his voice echoing in the vast chamber, "these are the humans we have heard about. How small you are." Taemin smiled politely and took his assigned seat. "We may be small in stature, Chancellor, but we come with great hopes for friendship between our peoples." Several aliens made sounds that the translator interpreted as laughter. A blue-skinned creature with tentacles for arms leaned forward. "Friendship? Little human, do you understand where you are? This is a council of civilizations that have existed for millennia. Your species only learned to travel between stars last year." "That is true," Taemin replied calmly. "We are new to space travel, but we have much to offer. Earth has many resources, and humans are eager to learn." "Resources," Vextar repeated, and Taemin noticed how the alien's eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Yes, we have read the reports about your world. Rich oceans, fertile lands, and a population that could provide useful labor." Taemin felt a chill, but kept his expression neutral. "We hope to trade freely with all civilizations. Earth produces many unique goods that might interest your people." Meanwhile, far beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, Admiral Bo-Ra, Kim walked through corridors that no alien had ever seen. The Pacific Deep Command stretched for kilometers under the ocean floor, its walls lined with screens showing data from across the solar system. Bo-Ra had spent 30 years in these depths, watching and waiting for this day. "Admiral," called Commander Wu Jin Yang as he approached with a datapad, "we're receiving the transmission from Nexus Prime. The aliens are behaving exactly as predicted." Bo-Ra nodded as she read the report. Every word spoken in that distant conference room was being recorded and analyzed. "They see us as prey," she said quietly, "just as the war councils predicted 200 years ago." "Should we activate the emergency protocols?" Wu Jin asked. "Not yet. Let them think we're helpless a little longer. How are the other deep commands?" "All. 7 stations report ready status. The fleet is sleeping but can be awakened in hours if needed." Bo-Ra looked at the massive display showing Earth's oceans. To any observer, they appeared normal, but hidden beneath the waves lay humanity's greatest secret. For over 2 centuries, humans had been preparing for this moment. They had studied the stars, built ships in underwater factories, and trained armies in the deep places where no alien eyes could see. Back on Nexus Prime, the meeting continued. Tae-min presented Earth's official requests for trade agreements and cultural exchange. The aliens listened with barely hidden amusement. To them, Humanity was like a child asking to sit at the adult's table. "Your requests are charming," said a reptilian creature whose species controlled several star systems. "But you must understand the reality of galactic politics. Strong civilizations protect weak ones. In return, the weak provide resources and labor to their protectors." "Are you suggesting that Earth needs protection?" Taemin asked. "I am stating a fact," Vextar replied. "Space is dangerous, little human. Pirates, rebels, natural disasters. A world like yours, so rich and so defenseless, would not survive long without proper guidance." Dr. Hyun-Woo Lee sat in a hidden facility on Earth's moon, monitoring every communication signal in the solar system. His screens showed dozens of alien ships taking detailed scans of Earth's major cities. They were counting populations, measuring military installations, and mapping resource locations. Their intentions were becoming clear. "They're not here for friendship," he reported to Pacific Deep Command. "These are invasion preparations." Bo-Ra received the message with grim satisfaction. "Exactly what we expected. Any signs they've detected our real capabilities?" "None. They believe our surface military represents our total strength. Their scans show they think we have fewer than 1,000 small warships." Bo-Ra almost smiled. The aliens' own arrogance was their weakness. They saw only what they expected to see. Their instruments detected Earth's surface navies and space stations, but the deep ocean installations remained invisible. Advanced materials and careful design had hidden humanity's true strength for generations. The meeting on Nexus Prime was ending. Taemin stood and bowed politely to the assembled aliens. "Thank you for this opportunity to speak. We hope for peaceful cooperation between all our peoples." "Of course," Vextar replied, but his tone had changed. It was no longer even pretending to be friendly. "We will send representatives to Earth soon to discuss arrangements for your world's future." As Taemin left the conference room, he activated a small device hidden in his jacket. A brief signal traveled across space, reaching Earth in minutes. In the depths of the Pacific, Bo-Ra received a single word. Confirmed. The aliens had revealed their true nature. Earth would soon face a demand for surrender, backed by threats of annihilation. But humanity was not the helpless species it appeared to be. That night, President Soo-Jin Han received a briefing in a secure bunker beneath Seoul. The civilian government had always known this day might come. Plans made generations ago were now being activated. Across Earth's oceans, ancient machines began to hum with power. "How long do we have?" Soo-Jin asked. "Based on their fleet movements." "Probably 30 days, replied General Kyung-Ho Shin. "They'll want to make a show of force first. Let fear do most of their work." And our response? We continued the deception. Let them think we're a normal, planetary government facing an impossible choice. Meanwhile, the deep commands will prepare for war. In the Mariana Trench, systems that had waited for centuries began their startup sequences. Massive doors hidden in the ocean floor started to open. Computer networks spanning the globe exchanged data at the speed of light. Humanity's children, born and raised in the deep places, prepared to fulfill their destiny. The galaxy thought it was dealing with a primitive world that had barely learned to fly between planets. They were about to discover that humans had been watching them for far longer than anyone imagined. Earth's oceans held secrets that would soon reshape the balance of power among the stars. As alien ships gathered at the edges of the solar system, thinking they faced an easy conquest, Humanity's greatest strength remained hidden beneath kilometers of water and centuries of careful planning. 6 months had passed since humanity's first meeting with the galactic powers. The illusion of peaceful contact was about to shatter completely. Captain Da-Hai Choi stood on the bridge of the surface vessel New Seoul, watching alien ships approach, Earth like vultures circling their prey. The massive hegemony fleet had arrived with 50,000 warships, their dark hulls blocking out whole sections of stars. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies," reported her communications officer, a nervous young man named Sang Woo. "They're broadcasting to the entire planet." Dahai nodded grimly. "Put it on screen." Chancellor Vexitar's image appeared. But now he wore no mask of diplomacy. His 4 arms were crossed, and his silver skin seemed to glow with cruel satisfaction. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship showed weapon systems charging and tactical displays showing Earth's major population centers. "People of Earth," Vextar began, his voice carrying across every television, radio, and communication device on the planet. "Your primitive leaders have had months to consider their position in the galactic order. That time has ended. You will surrender your world's resources and accept placement under hegemony protection, or you will face the consequences of defying superior civilizations." The alien's image was replaced by footage of planets that had refused hegemony demands. Cities turned to glass. Oceans boiled away. Billions of beings reduced to slavery or death. The message was clear and terrible. "You have 30 of your days to decide," Vexitar continued. "Resist, and your world will burn. Submit, and your species will serve a purpose greater than your small minds can imagine. Choose wisely." The transmission ended, leaving Earth's airwaves filled with emergency broadcasts and panic. In government buildings around the world, leaders who had prepared for this moment their entire lives began to act their parts. They had to appear shocked, desperate, and defeated. The deception had to be perfect. President Soo Jin-han called an emergency session of the United Nations. Her face was pale as she addressed the world's representatives, but her fear was carefully calculated. "Fellow leaders of Earth, we face an impossible situation. Our military analysts confirm that resistance would be suicide. We have perhaps 1,000 small warships against their 50,000. Secret cameras recorded everything, broadcasting images of a world in despair to alien monitors throughout the solar system. The hegemony wanted to see humanity break before the real invasion began. They fed on fear almost as much as they craved resources. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, the scene was very different. Admiral Bo-Ra Kim walked through command centers that hummed with quiet efficiency. Officers trained from birth for this moment worked at stations that controlled weapons the galaxy had never seen. The walls displayed tactical information that would have amazed any surface military commander. "Report from all deep commands," she ordered. Commander Wu Jin-yang checked his displays. "Atlantic Deep confirms Phase 1 activation complete. Arctic Deep reports ice-breaking systems online. Indian Deep has finished weapons calibration. Mediterranean Deep shows all stealth systems functioning. All 7 commands report full readiness, Admiral." Bo-Ra studied the main tactical display. It showed the real situation in Earth's solar system. While the aliens celebrated their overwhelming advantage, they had no idea they were being watched by sensors hidden throughout the asteroid belt, on distant moons, and in the seemingly empty space between planets. "Enemy fleet composition?" she asked. 50,000 ships as advertised, but they're arranged for intimidation, not actual combat. They expect no real resistance. Most of their vessels are older designs, probably intended for planetary bombardment rather than ship-to-ship fighting. And they have no idea we exist. None at all. Their scans still show only surface installations. They think our biggest warship is about the size of their smallest patrol craft. Above them, Captain Dahai watched hegemony scout ships conduct what they called resource surveys of Earth's major cities. The aliens made no effort to hide their weapons scans. They counted military bases, measured industrial capacity, and estimated population densities for future slave labor quotas. It was a routine they had performed on hundreds of worlds. They're taking scans of Seoul, Tokyo, and New York simultaneously, reported her tactical officer, Min Jun. Energy readings suggest they're mapping targets for orbital bombardment. Da-Hai kept her expression calm despite the rage building inside her. These aliens looked at Earth's greatest cities and saw only targets to destroy or resources to steal. They had no idea that humans had spent centuries preparing for exactly this moment. Dr. Hyun-Woo Lee monitored alien communications from his hidden base on the moon. The enemy fleet was using standard hegemony protocols, assuming no one on Earth could understand their language or break their codes. They were wrong on both counts. They're planning the actual invasion for Day 28, he reported to Pacific. Deep Command. 3 days before their deadline, they want to catch us in the middle of surrender negotiations. Landing sites? Asked Bo-Ra. Major coastal cities worldwide. They plan to secure population centers first, then move inland to capture resources. Standard hegemony doctrine for planetary conquest. Bo-Ra nodded. The aliens were following their own playbook perfectly, which meant humanity's strategists had predicted their every move. Plans developed over 2 centuries were about to prove their worth. Meanwhile, in underwater cities that had never seen sunlight, 1 million human warriors prepared for war. These were the children and grandchildren of those who had first detected alien civilizations in the distant stars. They had been born in the deep places, trained from childhood for a battle their ancestors knew would come. Captain Jae-sung, Oh, walked through the training bays of Atlantic Deep, watching his crews run final equipment checks. These people had never lived on the surface. They knew space better than land, having trained in facilities that simulated every possible combat environment. Final weapons test in 30 minutes, he announced. Remember, we get one chance to surprise them. After that, we fight on skill and preparation. His crews nodded silently. They had trained for this their entire lives, studying alien tactics, learning enemy weaknesses, and perfecting weapons designed specifically to counter hegemony technology. Every simulation had prepared them for the day when Earth's hidden children would finally reveal themselves to the galaxy. On the surface, the world's governments continued their performance of despair. Military leaders gave interviews about humanity's hopeless situation. Scientists published papers about the impossibility of resisting such an advanced civilization. Economic experts calculated the costs of surrender versus annihilation. But in secret facilities around the globe, the real preparations continued. Ancient bunker systems activated. Hidden weapons came online. Communication networks that had waited centuries for activation began carrying orders to forces the aliens could not imagine. President Soo Jin-han met with her closest advisors in a room deep beneath the presidential palace. The walls were lined with screens showing the true state of human military readiness. She no longer looked defeated or afraid. Global population evacuation is ahead of schedule, reported Defense Minister Tae Kyung Park. The surrender preparation, Drills have moved 90% of civilians to hardened shelters. Surface military response! All conventional forces will make token resistance when the invasion begins. Enough to look brave, but not enough to reveal our real capabilities. The aliens expect us to fight with nuclear weapons and projectile guns. That's exactly what they'll see. Su-Jin studied the timeline displayed on the main screen. Everything had to happen perfectly. Too early, and the aliens might escape to warn the galaxy. Too late, and Earth's cities might suffer real damage before the hidden fleets could respond. In the deepest trenches of Earth's oceans, machines that had slept for decades began their awakening. The sound was like the planet itself drawing breath after a long sleep. Fusion reactors that could power entire continents hummed to life. Factories that had built ships in secret for generations completed their final products. The galaxy thought it was about to witness the conquest of another primitive world. Instead, it was about to learn that humanity had been preparing for this war since the first human eye looked up at the stars and wondered who else might be out there. The countdown had begun. In 24 days, the hegemony would learn that Earth was not as defenseless as it appeared. The hegemony's deadline was only 7 days away when Fleet Admiral Yunji Kang opened her eyes for the first time in 6 months. The cryogenic chamber hissed as it released the chemicals that had kept her in perfect stasis. Around her, hundreds of similar chambers were opening as humanity's greatest military minds awakened from their long sleep. Yunji sat up slowly, her body remembering the routine of revival. She had done this dozens of times over her career, sleeping between training, cycles, and awakening when her skills were needed. But this time was different. This time, the war they had prepared for their entire lives was finally beginning. "Welcome back, Admiral," said Dr. Su-Min Park, the medical officer who monitored all command staff revivals. "All vital signs are normal. Your body has adapted perfectly to the stasis cycle." "How long was I under?" Yunji asked, though she already knew the answer. 6 months? 12 days? The galaxy has been getting to know humanity during your sleep. They think they understand. Us now? Yunji stood and walked to the observation window of Atlantic Deep Command. Outside, the ocean stretched endlessly above them, lit by artificial lights that made the water glow like liquid starlight. Schools of fish swam past, unaware that the greatest military installation in human history lay beneath them. "Status report," she ordered as she entered the command center. Captain Jae-Sung-Oh approached with a data pad containing information that would have shocked every alien in the galaxy. All 7 deep commands report full operational status. The awakening process is complete across all installations. 1,047,312 vessels are ready for deployment. Yunji studied the numbers. Each ship represented years of careful planning and construction. They had been built in underwater factories using materials mined from asteroids by missions the galaxy thought were simple exploration. Every vessel incorporated technology developed specifically to counter alien weaknesses that humans had studied for generations. Enemy fleet disposition? Exactly as our strategists predicted 200 years ago, 50,000 ships arranged for intimidation and planetary bombardment. They show no signs of expecting real resistance. Their formation is designed to impress, not to fight. Dr. Minho Seo, humanity's leading expert on alien biology and technology, entered the command center carrying files that contained secrets no other species possessed. He had spent decades studying captured alien technology, analyzing their communication patterns, and identifying crucial weaknesses in their military doctrine. "Admiral, I have the final analysis of hegemony combat capabilities," he reported. "Their weapons are powerful, but designed for fighting other alien civilizations. They have never faced human tactical thinking or our unique technological approaches." "Explain." "Their shields are nearly impenetrable against energy weapons, but vulnerable to kinetic projectiles fired at specific frequencies. Their sensors can detect most known technologies, but cannot recognize our stealth systems because they were designed using principles no other species has discovered. Most importantly, their command structure depends on centralized control that we can disrupt." Yunji nodded. This information had been gathered through centuries of careful observation. Human agents had never been detected. Human technology had never been revealed, and human intentions had remained completely hidden until this moment. Meanwhile, on the surface, Captain Da-Hai Choi continued her performance aboard the New Soul. Her ship and dozens like it represented humanity's entire space navy, as far as the aliens knew. They were real warships, but old ones, deliberately maintained to appear as advanced as the aliens expected a young civilization to possess. "Captain, the alien scouts are increasing their surveillance," reported her sensor operator, Jin Woo. "They're taking detailed scans of our propulsion systems and weapons. It looks like they're preparing detailed invasion plans." "Let them look," Dehai replied. "They're seeing exactly what we want them to see." The alien scans revealed human ships, powered by fusion reactors that seemed impressive for a young species, but were actually obsolete by the standards hidden in the deep commands. They detected weapons that appeared dangerous, but were no match for hegemony shields. Most importantly, they found no trace of the technology that could actually threaten an alien fleet. In the deepest parts of Earth's oceans, the awakening continued. Lieutenant Yuna Kim led her stealth reconnaissance team through final preparations for their first mission against alien positions. Her ship, the Silent Depth, was invisible to every known detection system and armed with weapons that could destroy vessels 10 times its size. "Team Alpha, report status," she ordered. "Stealth systems operating at full efficiency," replied her pilot, Han Sol. "Enemy sensors show no indication they can detect us even at close range." "Weapons systems?" "All functional. We can eliminate 6 hegemony scouts without triggering any alarms." Yuna studied the tactical display showing alien positions throughout the solar system. The enemy had spread their fleet in a pattern designed to monitor Earth and intimidate its population. They had no idea that human observers had been tracking their every movement since they arrived. Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, Commander Wu Jin Yang supervised the most critical phase of the awakening. Massive doors built into the ocean floor were opening for the first time in decades. These were the launch bays for humanity's capital ships, vessels so large they required the deepest parts of the ocean to hide them. "Bay 7 reports successful opening," announced his operations officer, Ye Jin. "The Leviathan is ready for deployment." Wu Jin watched as humanity's greatest warship prepared to rise from its ancient resting place. The Leviathan was longer than many alien space stations and armed with weapons that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. It had been under construction for over a century, built by engineers who knew they would never see it fight. Across the planet, similar preparations were taking place. The Arctic deep was melting passages through ice that had hidden its ships for generations. The Mediterranean deep was opening concealed launch tubes built into underwater mountain ranges. The Indian deep was activating systems that had been disguised as geological features for over 200 years. President Su Jin-han received updates in her secure bunker as the true scale of human preparation became clear even to those who had helped plan it. Status of civilian evacuations, 97% complete, reported Emergency Coordinator Sung-Hoon Lee. The surrender preparation drills have moved our entire population to hardened shelters designed to survive planetary bombardment. Global communication networks? All emergency systems are active. When the time comes, every human on Earth will be able to coordinate perfectly while the aliens lose all contact with their forces. The hegemony fleet continued its preparations for what they expected to be a simple conquest. Their intelligence reports described a world with primitive weapons, limited spacecraft, and a population that had never experienced interstellar warfare. They had conquered hundreds of similar worlds using the same tactics. Chancellor Vextar reviewed the invasion plans from his flagship, confident that Earth would fall within hours of the attack beginning. The humans have shown no signs of military preparation beyond their pathetic attempts to hide their population centers. Their space navy consists of fewer than 1,000 small vessels that our scouts could destroy in minutes. His tactical officers agreed completely. Every scan of Earth showed exactly what they expected to see from a recently spacefaring civilization. The planet's defensive capabilities were laughably weak compared to the hegemony's overwhelming force. But, in the depths they could not imagine, humanity's true strength was finally awakening. Admiral Yunji studied reports from installations the aliens had never detected. Each deep command controlled more ships than most galactic civilizations possessed. Together, they represented the largest military force ever assembled in Earth's history. "All commands report ready status," Captain Jae-sung announced. "The fleet can begin deployment in 12 hours. Yunji looked at the countdown display showing the time remaining until the hegemony's deadline. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humanity had been preparing for this war since the first human looked up at the stars and wondered what else might be waiting out there. The deep places were waking up, and with them, humanity's children who had been born to fight among the stars. 3 days remained until the hegemony's deadline, when Earth's oceans began to reveal their secrets. Admiral Dong-hyun Park stood in the command center of Pacific Deep, watching status displays that showed the largest military operation in human history. Across all 7 deep commands, 1 million ships were beginning their rise from hidden bases that had waited centuries for this moment. "Phase 1 deployment is proceeding on schedule," reported his operations coordinator, So-Young Kim. "Hunter squadrons are launching from concealed positions throughout the solar system." Dong-hyun nodded as he watched the tactical display. Red dots marked enemy positions while blue indicators showed human forces moving into position. The aliens had no idea they were being surrounded by an enemy they couldn't detect. Far above the Pacific Deep, the ocean surface began to churn with unusual activity. What appeared to be natural currents and whale migrations were actually the movements of massive structures rising from the deepest trenches. Underwater cities that had remained hidden for generations were finally revealing themselves as the military installations they had always been. Captain Hanul Jong piloted her stealth ship Shadow Walker through the outer solar system, leading Hunter Squadron 12 toward their first target. Her team consisted of 12 ships, each one invisible to alien sensors and armed with weapons designed specifically to eliminate hegemony scouts without raising alarms. "Target acquired," reported her sensor operator, Dong Min. "Hegemony scout, ship Severed Claw, operating alone near Jupiter's outer moons. They're conducting detailed scans of the asteroid mining operations." Hanul smiled grimly. The aliens were studying human mining installations, trying to calculate how much wealth Earth could provide their empire. They had no idea those same installations had been building warships for over 2 centuries. All ships maintain stealth approach. Remember, we need to eliminate them before they can send any warning signals. The Shadow Walker moved through space like a ghost, its advanced stealth technology making it invisible to every known detection system. The human ships had been designed using principles no other species had discovered, incorporating materials and energy patterns that alien sensors simply could not recognize. The Hegemony Scout's severed claw continued its scans, unaware that death was approaching from 12 different directions. Its crew of 50 aliens believed they were conducting routine surveillance of a primitive civilization that posed no threat to anyone. "All squadrons report ready," came the voice of Squadron Leader Kyung Min over the secure channel. "Target is isolated and unsuspecting." "Execute," Hanuel ordered. 12 invisible ships fired simultaneously. The alien scout ship simply vanished in a flash of light, destroyed so quickly its crew never had time to send a distress signal. The wreckage scattered into the asteroid belt, where it would appear to be the result of a mining accident. "Target eliminated," Hanuel reported to Pacific Deep Command. "No enemy transmissions detected. They never knew we were here." Similar attacks were taking place throughout the solar system. Human stealth squadrons eliminated isolated alien scouts one by one, using tactics the enemy had never encountered. Each attack appeared to be an accident or equipment failure, giving the aliens no reason to suspect they were under assault. In the depths of the Mariana Trench, Chief Engineer Sora Lim supervised the activation of humanity's most advanced weapons systems. The installations around her had been built over generations by the finest minds humanity could produce, incorporating technology that pushed the boundaries of known science. "Gravitational resonance cannons are online," she reported to Admiral Yunji Kang. "Quantum disruption torpedoes are ready for deployment. Probability shields are functioning at full capacity." Yunji studied the weapons readouts with satisfaction. These systems existed nowhere else in the galaxy because they had been developed in secret by civilizations that believed humanity was primitive. Each weapon represented breakthrough discoveries that other species had never imagined. Test sequence? All. Systems test at 100% efficiency. We can engage enemy capital ships at ranges they cannot even detect us from. The alien fleet continued its preparations for invasion, unaware that they were being systematically weakened. Hegemony commanders noticed that some of their scout ships had stopped reporting, but they attributed the losses to equipment failures and the hazards of operating near a primitive world's asteroid belt. Chancellor Vextar reviewed casualty reports from his flagship, annoyed but not concerned. 15 scout ships lost in 3 days. These primitive mining operations must be more hazardous than our intelligence suggested. His tactical officer, a 4-armed creature named Zektar, nodded agreement. The humans appear to use dangerous, explosive mining techniques. Several of our ships have been caught in unexpected detonations. Increase safety protocols. We cannot afford to lose more ships to human incompetence before the invasion begins. Neither alien commander realized they were looking at the results of precision military strikes. The human stealth attacks had been so perfectly executed that the enemy was explaining them as accidents. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, Captain In-Soo Cho led his crew through final preparations aboard the battleship Deep Strike. His vessel was one of humanity's newest designs, incorporating lessons learned from centuries of studying alien technology and tactics. "Crew efficiency report," he ordered. "All stations report full readiness," replied his executive officer, young son. The crew has trained together for 12 years. Combat simulations show 97% accuracy against hegemony fleet formations. Insu nodded with pride. Every member of his crew had been selected from childhood and trained specifically for this mission. They knew alien tactics better than many aliens did, having studied captured enemy communications and tactical manuals for their entire lives. Weapons systems. Triple redundant targeting systems online. Our main batteries can penetrate hegemony shields using frequency modulation techniques. Point defense systems can track and destroy their fastest attack craft. The Deep Strike represented everything humanity had learned about space warfare. It was faster than alien ships because human engineers had developed more efficient propulsion systems. It was better armed because human weapons had been designed specifically to counter enemy defenses. Most importantly, it was crewed by warriors who had been preparing for this fight since birth. Throughout Earth's oceans, similar preparations were taking place. The Mediterranean deep was launching ships that had been disguised as underwater research stations. The Arctic deep was breaking through ice barriers that had hidden its installations for decades. The Indian deep was activating systems that had been built into the ocean floor itself. President Soo-Jin Han received reports in her command bunker as the scale of humanity's hidden military became clear. Fleet status, 800,000. Ships have successfully launched from deep commands, reported Admiral Tae-Hyung-ryu. The remaining vessels will be ready within 24 hours. All stealth operations are proceeding without detection. Alien response? They continue to interpret our attacks as accidents. Their fleet remains in standard intimidation formation, completely unprepared for actual combat. Soo-Jin studied the global situation display. Humanity's greatest deception was working perfectly. The aliens saw a weak, frightened civilization preparing to surrender. They had no idea they were facing the most prepared military force in galactic history. Dr. Hyun-Woo Lee monitored alien communications from his lunar base, listening to enemy commanders discuss their invasion plans. The aliens were so confident of victory that they were already arguing about how to divide Earth's resources among their various factions. They're planning the victory celebration before the battle even begins, he reported to Pacific Deep Command. Their arrogance is our greatest weapon. On the surface, Captain Da Hai continued her performance aboard the New Soul. Her ship and its companions represented humanity's desperate attempt to mount a defense against impossible odds. The aliens monitored every transmission, convinced they understood humanity's pathetic military capabilities. Alien scouts are requesting detailed information about our weapon systems, reported her communications officer, Min Ho. They want to study our technology before they destroy us. Send them our standard specifications, Da Hai replied. Let them think our fusion torpedoes and particle beams represent our best weapons. The aliens received data about human ships that seemed impressive for a young civilization but were completely obsolete compared to the technology hidden in the deep commands. They prepared countermeasures for weapons humanity had abandoned decades ago while remaining completely unaware of the real threat rising from Earth's depths. As the countdown continued toward the invasion deadline, humanity's hidden children prepared to reveal themselves to the galaxy. The deep places were awakening, and with them came 1,000,000 ships crewed by warriors who had been born for this moment. The hegemony's invasion fleet arrived at Earth, expecting to find a terrified world ready to surrender. Instead, they encountered the first wave of humanity's deep fleet rising from oceans that had hidden the galaxy's greatest secret for centuries. Admiral Kyung-Soo Bae stood on the bridge of his flagship Tsunami, watching as his battle group emerged from the Pacific depths like ancient sea monsters awakening from eternal sleep. All ships report successful surface transition, announced his tactical officer, Hei-Wan. Battle Group Tsunami is fully operational and ready for combat. Kyung-Soo studied the tactical display showing the enemy fleet. 50,000 alien ships hung in space around Earth, arranged in the standard hegemony intimidation pattern. Their formation was designed to terrify civilian populations, not to fight a real military force. Enemy response to our emergence? Confusion and disbelief. They're running intensive scans trying to understand where we came from. Several enemy commanders are demanding explanations from their intelligence divisions. The alien fleet was experiencing something they had never encountered before. In thousands of previous conquests, their arrival had been met by either immediate surrender or desperate resistance from obviously inferior forces. They had never seen advanced warships simply appear from a planet's oceans. Captain Seol Ah-yoon commanded the dreadnought Depth Charge, a vessel so massive it had required the deepest ocean trenches to hide its construction. Her ship alone carried more firepower than most planetary defense fleets, and it represented technology the aliens had never seen before. Weapon systems status? She asked her chief engineer, Hyun-jin. All batteries online and fully charged. Gravitational resonance cannons are locked onto primary targets. Quantum disruption torpedoes are loaded and ready for deployment. Target selection? Enemy flagship Eternal Dominance and its escort squadron. Our analysis indicates destroying their command ship will create maximum tactical confusion. Seol Ah nodded as she studied the enemy formation. Human strategists had spent centuries analyzing hegemony tactics, and they knew exactly how the aliens would respond to different types of attacks. Every human ship had been positioned to exploit specific weaknesses in alien doctrine. Aboard the hegemony flagship, Chancellor Vextar stared at his displays in growing alarm. Where there had been empty ocean minutes before, thousands of human warships were now rising to the surface. His intelligence reports had mentioned nothing about underwater military installations. "How many ships are we detecting?" he demanded. His tactical officer, Gektar, consulted multiple sensor readings with obvious confusion. "Initial count shows approximately 50,000 human vessels, Chancellor. But the numbers keep increasing as more ships emerge from underwater. Positions. 50,000? That's impossible. Our intelligence reports indicated they had fewer than 1,000 ships total." "The reports appear to have been incomplete, Chancellor." Vextar felt the first stirrings of uncertainty. His species had conquered hundreds of worlds using overwhelming force against primitives who posed no real threat. But the ships rising from Earth's oceans displayed technology that seemed far too advanced for a recently spacefaring civilization. On Earth's surface, President Soo-Jin Han addressed the world from her secure bunker. But her words were no longer those of a defeated leader preparing to surrender. Her voice carried the confidence of someone who had always known this moment would come. "Citizens of Earth, the deception is over. For centuries, our ancestors prepared for this day when hostile aliens would threaten our world. Today, we reveal the truth about humanity's strength." The transmission was broadcast throughout the solar system, ensuring that every alien ship would receive humanity's real message. The time for hiding was over. The galaxy thought we were primitive and defenseless. They were wrong. We have been watching them, studying them, and preparing to defend our world since the first human looked up at the stars. Today, Earth's children come home from the deep places. In the depths of the Atlantic, Admiral Yoonji Kang coordinated the largest naval operation in human history. Her command center displayed the positions of over 1,000,000 ships as they took battle stations around Earth and throughout the solar system. "All deep commands report successful deployment," announced Captain Jae Sung. "The enemy fleet is completely surrounded. They have no escape routes and no reinforcements within range." Yoonji watched as human ships moved into formations the aliens had never seen before. Every vessel had been designed for multiple combat roles, and every crew had trained for scenarios that pushed the boundaries of tactical thinking. Phase 2. Authorization? Granted. All ships are cleared to engage enemy forces. The Battle of Luna's Shadow began when Admiral Kyung-soo gave the order to open fire. His battle group unleashed weapons that shouldn't have existed on a world the aliens considered primitive. Gravitational resonance cannons tore through hegemony shields like they were made of paper. Quantum disruption torpedoes caused alien ships to simply vanish from existence. Captain Seola watched as her dreadnought's main batteries engaged the enemy flagship. The depth charge fired a concentrated burst of gravitational energy that collapsed the alien ship's defensive fields and crushed its hull like an empty container. The hegemony's most powerful warship was destroyed in seconds by weapons it had no defense against. "Target eliminated," reported her gunnery officer, Subin. "Enemy flagship has been completely destroyed. Remaining enemy ships are breaking formation in panic." Throughout the battle zone, similar engagements were taking place. Human ships appeared and disappeared using stealth technology the aliens couldn't detect. They fired weapons that bypassed enemy defenses and used tactics that seemed impossible to counter. The alien fleet, accustomed to fighting according to established galactic conventions, found themselves facing an enemy that followed no known rules of engagement. Human ships moved in ways that violated their understanding of space combat. Human weapons produced effects their science couldn't explain. Commander Zektar aboard the alien command ship Iron Fist tried desperately to coordinate a response. "All ships, implement Standard Defensive Formation 7. Focus fire on the largest human vessels." But the hegemony's standard tactics were useless against opponents who had studied them for centuries. Human commanders anticipated every alien maneuver and countered with strategies that left their enemies confused and helpless. Dr. Minho Seo monitored the battle from Pacific Deep Command, analyzing alien responses and confirming predictions made decades earlier. Their tactical doctrine is completely inadequate for this situation. They're trying to fight us using methods designed for other alien civilizations. "Expected casualty ratios?" asked Admiral Dong-hyun. "Better than projected. Our weapons are more effective than the simulations predicted, and their defenses are weaker than our worst-case scenarios." The first major engagement lasted only 37 minutes. When it ended, humanity had destroyed over 8,000 alien ships while losing fewer than 100 of their own. The hegemony fleet, which had arrived expecting easy conquest, found itself facing defeat by an enemy they had completely underestimated. Emergency transmissions flooded galactic communication networks as news of the battle spread throughout known space. Civilizations that had never heard of Earth suddenly learned that humans possessed military capabilities that rivaled the galaxy's greatest powers. Chancellor Vextar, his flagship destroyed and his fleet in retreat, sent desperate messages to Hegemony High Command. "Request immediate reinforcement. The humans possess advanced military technology." Previous intelligence reports were completely inaccurate. But the damage was already done. The galaxy's most aggressive military power had been defeated by a species they had dismissed as primitives. The balance of power among the stars was about to change forever. As human ships pursued the fleeing remnants of the invasion fleet, Admiral Yoonji received reports from observation posts throughout the galaxy. Word of humanity's victory was spreading faster than light itself, carried by traders, diplomats, and military observers who had witnessed the impossible. "Admiral," reported Communications Officer Dalho, "we're receiving contact requests from over 200 different civilizations. Everyone wants to know who we really are." Yunji smiled as she looked at the tactical display showing Earth surrounded by humanity's protective fleet. The deep places had finally revealed their secrets, and the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the full scope of humanity's hidden armada became apparent. From the deepest trenches of Earth's oceans, ships continued to rise in numbers that defied every calculation alien intelligence services had made. Grand Admiral Youngmi Shin emerged from the Mariana Deep aboard the flagship Leviathan, leading formations that made the hegemony's invincible fleet look like a small patrol group. "Status report from all deep commands," she ordered as the Leviathan broke the ocean surface for the first time in its century-long construction. Fleet Captain Dongwook Han consulted his tactical displays with barely concealed amazement. Even he, who had helped plan this operation, was impressed by the scale of what they had accomplished. All 7 deep commands report full deployment complete. Total ship count, 1,237,419 vessels of all classes. Young Mai studied the numbers that represented centuries of human preparation. Each ship had been built in secret, crewed by people born specifically for this purpose, and equipped with technology that pushed the boundaries of known science. Enemy fleet status? The remaining hegemony forces are attempting to regroup near Mars. They've lost over 15,000 ships and appear to be in complete tactical disarray. Several alien commanders are requesting permission to withdraw from the solar system. Captain Insu Cho commanded the battleship Deep Strike as it took position alongside thousands of other human vessels. His crew had trained together for 12 years. But even they were awed by the sight of humanity's true military might finally revealed. "Sir," reported his sensor officer, Ji-Wan, "we're detecting over 300 different ship classes in our formation. Some of these designs I've never seen before." Insu nodded with pride. Humanity's shipbuilders had been creating new designs for generations, each one incorporating lessons learned from studying alien technology and tactics. The fleet that now surrounded Earth represented the most advanced military force the galaxy had ever seen. Weapon systems analysis? Every ship is equipped with technology that exceeds known galactic standards. Our gravitational cannons, quantum, torpedoes, and probability shields appear to be completely unknown to alien science. Throughout the solar system, alien observers struggled to understand what they were witnessing. The humans weren't just revealing hidden ships. They were demonstrating capabilities that shouldn't have existed on a world that had only achieved faster-than-light travel a year earlier. Ambassador Kekvar of the Centaurian Republic transmitted urgent reports to his government from his observation post near Jupiter. The human fleet appears to number over 1 million vessels. Their technology seems to be centuries ahead of our intelligence estimates. Request immediate reevaluation of all contact protocols. Similar messages flooded galactic communication networks as every major civilization tried to comprehend the new reality. Earth wasn't a primitive world that had stumbled into space travel. It was a military superpower that had been hiding its true strength for centuries. Admiral Taehyung Ryu coordinated fleet movements from his command ship Oceans, Fury, watching as human vessels moved into formations that no alien tactical doctrine could counter. His crews had studied every known form of space combat, but they were also prepared to create entirely new approaches to warfare. "All battle groups report ready for Phase 3 operations," announced his operations coordinator, Su Jin. The enemy appears to be completely overwhelmed by our tactical capabilities. Their response to our formation patterns? Total confusion. They're trying to apply standard galactic combat doctrines, but our ship movements don't follow any known tactical principles. Their computers can't predict our next actions. Tae-hyung smiled as he watched alien ships attempt maneuvers that would have worked against other alien civilizations, but were useless against human tactics. Humanity had spent centuries developing approaches to space combat that no other species had imagined. On the bridge of the heavy cruiser Abyssal Hunter, Captain Bitna Yu led her ship through maneuvers that seemed to violate the basic principles of space warfare. Her vessel could accelerate in directions that should have been impossible, change course without the delays alien ships required, and coordinate with other ships using communication methods the enemy couldn't detect. "Ma'am," reported her navigator, Sang-ho, "the alien fleet is trying to establish a defensive perimeter around Mars. Their formation suggests they still don't understand our capabilities. Maintain current approach vector. Let them think they understand our tactics until it's too late for them to adapt." The human ships moved through space like a school of fish, each vessel responding instantly to changes in the overall formation. This level of coordination was possible because human crews had been trained together since childhood, using communication systems and tactical doctrines that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. In the depths of space near Saturn, the alien fleet made its last desperate attempt to salvage their invasion. Chancellor Vextar, aboard a damaged command ship that had barely survived the initial battle, tried to rally his remaining forces. "All ships, maintain defensive formation. These humans cannot possibly have more advanced technology than the combined wisdom of galactic civilization." But his words carried no conviction. The evidence before his eyes contradicted everything he believed about the natural order of the galaxy. These primitive humans possessed ships that were faster, more maneuverable, and better armed than anything in the hegemony arsenal. Commander Gektar studied sensor readings that made no sense according to known science. "Chancellor, their largest ships appear to be over 20 kilometers long. Our intelligence reports indicated their biggest vessels were smaller than our patrol craft." "Impossible! How could they hide construction projects of that scale?" "Unknown, sir. But the evidence is undeniable. These ships exist, and they're all targeting our position." Grand Admiral Young-mi coordinated the final phase of humanity's revelation from the bridge of the Leviathan. Her flagship was a monument to human engineering, incorporating technology that had been developed in secret laboratories hidden beneath Earth's oceans. "All fleet commanders, this is Grand Admiral Shin. Execute Operation Deep Rising. Show them what humanity has really been building for the past 2 centuries. Across the solar system, human ships began demonstrating capabilities that redefined what was possible in space warfare. Vessels that had seemed impossibly large revealed they were actually mobile shipyards carrying entire fleets in their internal bays. Ships that appeared to be single units separated into dozens of smaller craft, each one capable of independent operations. Dr. Hyun-woo Lee monitored galactic communications from his lunar observation post as news of humanity's revelation spread throughout known space. Every major civilization was scrambling to reevaluate their understanding of Earth and its people. "Admiral," he reported to Pacific Deep Command, "we're receiving diplomatic contact requests from every major galactic power. The Centaurian Republic is offering immediate alliance negotiations. The Trade Federation wants to establish economic partnerships. Even the hegemony's traditional allies are distancing themselves from the invasion." Admiral Dong-hyun Park studied the changing political landscape displayed on his strategic monitors. Humanity's military revelation was reshaping galactic politics in real time. Response from our diplomatic corps? Ambassador Tae-min is preparing comprehensive briefings for all interested parties. The message is clear. Humanity seeks peaceful relations, but will defend itself against any threat. The remnants of the hegemony fleet, faced with impossible odds and an enemy they couldn't understand, finally began their retreat from the solar system. But their defeat had already changed everything. Word of humanity's hidden strength was spreading faster than their ships could flee. Captain Jae-sung watched from the bridge of his cruiser as alien vessels fled toward the edge of the solar system. Pursuit orders, Admiral? Young Mi considered the question carefully. Humanity had revealed its strength, but wisdom required knowing when to show mercy. Let them go. But make sure they understand. Earth is under the protection of forces they cannot comprehend. Any future aggression will be met with appropriate response. As the last hegemony ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel, the galaxy began to adjust to a new reality. Humanity was no longer the primitive species that had stumbled into galactic politics. They were a superpower that had been preparing for this moment since their first look at the stars. The emergency session of the Galactic Confederation had been called within hours of the hegemony's defeat at Earth. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations gathered at Nexus Prime Station, their previous arrogance replaced by uncertainty and fear. Ambassador Haiwan Kwan stood before the same assembly that had dismissed humanity as primitive only months earlier. But now every alien eye watched her with careful attention. "Honored representatives," Haiwan began, her voice carrying across the vast chamber. "Humanity appreciates this opportunity to address the confusion and concern that recent events have generated throughout the galaxy." Chancellor Vexitar sat in the section reserved for defeated commanders, his silver skin dulled by shame and his forearms crossed defensively. The being who had threatened to enslave Earth now looked small and diminished among his peers. "The question you all want answered is simple," Haiwan continued. "How did a supposedly primitive species develop military capabilities that exceed those of civilizations that have existed for millennia? The answer lies in humanity's greatest strength, our ability to plan for the future." She activated a holographic display that showed Earth's solar system as it had appeared to alien observers. Then the image changed, revealing the hidden installations that had existed beneath the planet's oceans for centuries. First contact with galactic civilization was not humanity's introduction to the wider universe. It was our graduation ceremony. Gasps and expressions of shock rippled through the assembly as the scope of human deception became clear. What the galaxy had interpreted as humanity's first stumbling steps into space travel had actually been a carefully orchestrated reveal when Earth was finally ready to engage as an equal. Fleet Admiral Chan Wook-an materialized as a hologram. Beside Haiwan, his image broadcast from the bridge of his flagship in Earth's solar system. The alien representatives could see thousands of human ships in the background, a constant reminder of the force that had defeated the hegemony's invincible fleet. For over 2 centuries, Chan Wook explained, humanity has been observing galactic civilization through hidden monitoring stations, long-range sensors, and intelligence networks that your security services never detected. We studied your technologies, analyzed your military doctrines, and prepared for the day when contact would become inevitable. The display changed again, showing hidden human installations throughout known space. Asteroid mining operations that had appeared to be simple resource extraction, revealed themselves as advanced manufacturing facilities. Research stations that had seemed primitive showed their true nature as observation posts monitoring alien activities. Ambassador Kelthera of the Andorian Alliance, a species known for their advanced intelligence networks, spoke with obvious distress. "You're saying that humans have been watching us for centuries without our knowledge? That's impossible. Our security systems are the most advanced in the galaxy." Director Yun-Young Song appeared as another hologram, her expression politely professional as she addressed the alien intelligence chief. "Your security systems are indeed impressive, Ambassador Kelthera. We should know. We've been studying them since before your great-grandmother was born." She gestured to a new display showing the intricate web of human intelligence operations that had monitored galactic civilization. Every major treaty, every technological development, every military exercise has been observed and analyzed by human agents. Your civilizations developed in full view of eyes you never knew existed. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly. Every representative began calculating how many of their civilization's secrets might be known to these primitive humans. The balance of galactic intelligence had shifted overnight. President Woo Sung Kim appeared as the final hologram, addressing the assembly from Earth itself. Behind him, the blue waters of the Pacific Ocean sparkled in sunlight, giving no hint of the military installations hidden in its depths. "The galaxy operates on a simple principle," he said calmly. "The strong dominate the weak. Civilizations, like the hegemony, have built their power on this foundation, conquering and enslaving species they consider inferior. Humanity chose a different path." He paused, allowing his words to sink in before continuing. "Instead of revealing our strength immediately, we chose to watch and learn. We discovered which civilizations could be trusted and which posed threats to peaceful species throughout the galaxy." Today's events were not an accident. They were the culmination of centuries of careful preparation. The implications were staggering. Every alien representative realized that humanity had been evaluating their civilizations for generations, making judgments about their character and intentions. Some felt relief that they had apparently passed this hidden test. Others worried about what the humans might have planned for them. Chancellor Zarketh of the Rigelian Empire, a traditionally peaceful civilization, raised a tentacle in request to speak. "Ambassador Quan, what are humanity's intentions now that your true capabilities have been revealed?" Haiwan smiled, the expression surprisingly warm given the circumstances. "The same as they have always been, Chancellor. We seek peaceful cooperation with civilizations that share our values. We offer protection to species threatened by aggressive powers, and we will defend ourselves against any who mistake our preference for peace as weakness." Fleet Admiral Chan-wook's image shifted to show formations of human ships patrolling the edges of the solar system. "The galaxy has operated under the assumption that might makes right for too long. Humanity proposes a new framework, one based on mutual respect rather than conquest and subjugation." The alien representatives began to understand that they weren't just witnessing the revelation of a hidden military power. They were seeing the emergence of a civilization that could fundamentally alter the balance of galactic politics. Dr. So-Ra Lim appeared as another hologram, representing humanity's scientific community. "We also offer to share certain technologies with civilizations that demonstrate peaceful intentions. Our research has produced advances that could benefit all sentient life." She displayed examples of human innovations, medical treatments that could extend lifespans across multiple species, environmental technologies that could restore damaged worlds, and energy systems that could end resource scarcity for entire civilizations. These advances are not for sale, Dr. Lim continued. They are gifts to species that choose cooperation over conquest. But they will never be shared with civilizations that use their power to oppress others. The message was clear. Humanity was offering to become the galaxy's greatest ally or its most dangerous enemy, depending on how other civilizations chose to behave. Ambassador Vector of the Centaurian Republic stood and bowed formally. On behalf of my government, I offer our immediate alliance and partnership. The Centaurian Republic has always opposed the hegemony's aggressive expansion. Similar declarations followed from dozens of other representatives. Civilizations that had remained neutral in galactic conflicts suddenly found themselves eager to demonstrate their peaceful intentions to these mysterious humans. But some representatives remained silent, calculating how this revelation would affect their own plans for expansion and conquest. The galaxy was dividing into those who welcomed humanity's emergence and those who saw it as a threat to their ambitions. Chancellor Vexitar finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. What happens to the hegemony now? Hyewan's expression became serious. That depends entirely on your civilization's choices going forward. Humanity bears no particular hatred for the hegemony, but we will not tolerate future aggression against peaceful worlds. And if we choose to continue our traditional expansion policies, then you will discover that the galaxy is no longer as defenseless as you believed. Many species that you considered too weak to resist now have a protector that you cannot defeat. The session ended with the galaxy forever changed. Some civilizations celebrated the emergence of a power that could check the ambitions of aggressive empires. Others began planning for a universe where their traditional advantages no longer guaranteed success. Admiral Se-Rom Jang coordinated humanity's response to hundreds of diplomatic requests from her command center beneath the Atlantic. The galaxy wanted to know everything about these mysterious humans who had hidden among them for centuries. Status of alliance negotiations? She asked her diplomatic liaison, Kyung Woo. 17 civilizations have requested immediate defensive pacts, 43 others want to establish trade relationships, and 12 are asking for assistance in defending against aggressive neighbors. Se-Rom nodded as she studied the changing map of galactic politics. Humanity's revelation had created opportunities and responsibilities that would reshape the future of intelligent life among the stars. The deep places had finally revealed their secrets, and the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after humanity's revelation shocked the galaxy, the new order was taking shape among the stars. President Woo Sung Kim stood before the newly constructed Galactic Assembly on Nexus Prime, addressing a gathering that included representatives from over 400 civilizations. The chamber had been redesigned to accommodate the dramatic changes in galactic politics that followed Earth's emergence as a major power. Fellow beings of the galaxy, Woo Sung began, his words translated into hundreds of languages simultaneously. We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals seeking a better future for all intelligent life. The new Galactic Compact lay before the assembled representatives, a document that would replace centuries of rule by force with a framework based on mutual respect and cooperation. Human legal scholars had worked with the galaxy's greatest minds to create a system that protected both the strong and the weak. Admiral Jian-Woo Park stood at the main podium as the newly appointed first human member of the Galactic Defense Council. His uniform bore insignia that represented not just Earth's military might, but humanity's commitment to protecting peaceful civilizations throughout known space. The Defense Council's primary mission remains unchanged, he announced to the Assembly. We exist to protect innocent lives and maintain peace between star systems. But our methods must evolve to meet new challenges. Behind him, holographic displays showed the current state of galactic security. The aggressive expansion that had characterized the previous century was ending as civilizations realized they now faced consequences for their actions. The hegemony's defeat had sent a clear message. The strong could no longer prey on the weak without facing opposition. Fleet Admiral Young Mi Shin coordinated operations from the bridge of the Leviathan, now serving as the flagship of the Galactic Peacekeeping Fleet. Her crews represented not just humanity, but volunteers from dozens of species who had joined the cause of interstellar security. Status report from all sectors, she requested. Commander Han Yul-jong, now serving as her operations coordinator, consulted displays showing peacekeeping activities throughout the galaxy. Sector 7 reports successful mediation of the Altarian border dispute. Sector 12 has completed humanitarian aid delivery to the Kepler refugee camps. Sector 3 is monitoring the hegemony withdrawal from occupied systems. Any resistance to the new protocols? Minimal. Most aggressive civilizations are complying with the compact's terms rather than risk confrontation with the defense fleet. Captain Bitna Yu commanded the exploration vessel New Horizon as it traveled through regions of space previously forbidden to lesser species. Her mission represented humanity's gift to galactic science, opening the unknown regions to peaceful exploration and research. Long-range sensors are detecting promising systems in the Omega Quadrant, reported her science officer Young Ho. 3 potentially habitable worlds with no signs of intelligent life. Prepare standard first contact protocols. If we find primitive civilizations, they'll be protected under the new expansion guidelines. The compact included revolutionary protections for developing species, ensuring that no civilization would face the choice between subjugation and annihilation that had threatened humanity. The galaxy's children would be allowed to grow and develop at their own pace. Dr. Min-ho Seo worked in joint research facilities where human and alien scientists collaborated on projects that pushed the boundaries of known science. The hidden laboratories that had given humanity its technological advantages were now open to researchers from peaceful civilizations. The gravitational resonance experiments are showing promising results, he reported to his mixed species team. We should be able to develop faster-than-light communication within the decade. Such cooperation would have been impossible under the old order, where technological advantages were closely guarded secrets used to maintain dominance over rival civilizations. Humanity's willingness to share their innovations was transforming the pace of galactic development. On Earth, the ocean cities that had hidden humanity's greatest secret for centuries were opening their doors to visitors from across the galaxy. Admiral Sairam Jang gave tours to alien diplomats and scientists, showing them installations that had once been the most classified secrets on the planet. This facility has been in continuous operation for 187 years. She explained to a group of Centaurian researchers as they walked through the Atlantic Deep Command Center. Every system was designed with the assumption that we would eventually need to defend ourselves against aggressive alien civilizations. Ambassador Kelthara of the Andorian Alliance studied the human installations with professional admiration and personal unease. The level of long-term planning is extraordinary. Your species prepared for scenarios we never even considered. Because you never needed to, Seiram replied kindly. Your civilizations developed in a galaxy where the strong ruled the weak. Humanity grew up knowing we would eventually face that test. The hegemony's former territories were being redistributed under the new system. Instead of being divided, among the victorious powers, these systems were granted independence under the protection of the Defense Council. Species that had lived under alien rule for generations were finally free to determine their own futures. Chancellor Vexitar, stripped of his military commands but allowed to participate in the transition process, worked with human administrators to ensure peaceful transfers of power. The experience was humbling for a being who had once commanded fleets that terrorized entire sectors. "The Kavarian system is ready for independence," he reported to the Transition Council. "The local population has elected their own government and established trade agreements with neighboring civilizations." Director Yoon Young Song, now heading the Galactic Intelligence Cooperation Initiative, worked to establish new protocols for interstellar security. The hidden networks that had allowed humanity to monitor the galaxy were being transformed into a cooperative system that served all peaceful civilizations. "Threat assessment for the Outer Rim territories?" she asked her mixed species staff. "Three potential problems," replied her Rigelian deputy, Colvex. "Pirate activities in the Gamma sector, resource disputes in the Beta colonies, and reports of slavers operating near the galactic edge. Deployment recommendations? Gamma sector can be handled by standard patrol squadrons. Beta colonies need diplomatic intervention. The slaver situation requires a full battle group response." President Woo-sung Kim returned to Earth after signing the new Galactic Compact, but his planet was no longer the isolated world it had appeared to be months earlier. Nexus Prime had established permanent diplomatic offices in Earth's ocean cities, and the planet served as the unofficial capital of the new galactic order. "Assessment of the transition process?" he asked his cabinet during their first meeting since the compact's signing. Foreign Minister Sora Lim consulted reports from human embassies now operating openly throughout the galaxy. "Better than projected. Most civilizations are adapting well to the new framework. Even former hegemony allies are requesting partnership agreements. Opposition? Limited to fringe groups and isolated systems. Nothing that poses a serious threat to galactic stability." Admiral Chan Wook-on supervised the transformation of humanity's hidden fleet into the galaxy's guardian force. Ships that had been built in secret were now patrolling openly, their mere presence deterring the conflicts that had once plagued interstellar civilization. "Fleet status?" he asked during his daily briefing. 800,000 vessels deployed on peacekeeping duties throughout the galaxy, reported his chief of staff, in high. The remaining ships are training joint crews from allied civilizations or conducting diplomatic missions. Effectiveness of the new deployment patterns? Incidents of interstellar conflict have decreased by 93% since the new protocols were implemented. Most disputes are now being resolved through negotiation rather than force. The galaxy's children were learning that cooperation produced better results than conquest. Species that had spent millennia fighting over resources discovered that joint development projects could benefit everyone. Civilizations that had viewed their neighbors as threats began to see them as potential partners. As the first year of the new order drew to a close, humanity found itself in a position their ancestors had never imagined. The species that had hidden in Earth's depths to avoid galactic politics now served as the backbone of interstellar civilization. Captain Jae-sung-oh commanded one of the training centers where young beings from across the galaxy learned to work, together as crews aboard the most advanced ships ever built. Humans, aliens, and artificial intelligences collaborated on missions that would have been impossible under the old system. "Graduation ceremony preparations?" he asked his staff. "Ready for implementation," replied his human Centaurian mixed staff. "This class includes representatives from 47 different species. They'll be the first truly integrated crews in galactic history." The ocean cities of Earth had become symbols of what hidden preparation and patient planning could achieve. Young beings from across the galaxy came to study in the depths where humanity had prepared for their emergence into galactic civilization. The deep places that had once hidden